Bed bolts are a nice way to attach the legs of a bed to the side rails. I got these bed bolts from Horton Brasses, and I'll show a few tricks I've discovered to make the installation go better. The nut gets embedded into the side rail after the hole is drilled, and you can see that this nut is really too big for the thin side rails that I've got. So I found these square nuts on Amazon, much more suitable, giving me about 1/8 of an inch on either side. Even with the smaller nut, the hole I drill for the bolt has to be parallel, because if I'm skewed a little bit, the nut will start poking through the side of the bed. To start, I've drilled the holes in the leg, and I did that drilling on the drill press. So I know that those holes are perfectly parallel with the sides of the leg. Later, I'll drill a counterbore hole so that the head of the bolt can sit below the surface of the wood. But for now, I want to leave as much of the material in place because I'm going to use this hole to guide the drill bit into the wood. I made this little gauge so that I can check that every leg is the correct distance from the bottom of the leg to the bottom of the rail. I want them all the same so the bed sits flat. So I've clamped a piece of wood on each side of the rail with suitable spacers so that those pieces of wood run parallel to the rail. And I'll use those pieces of wood to keep the size of the leg parallel to the rail, and that'll make the hole that I drill go straight into the rail. I've got a 10mm drill bit, and the bolt is 3/8 inch. 10 millimeters just slightly over that, and I'm using a brad point drill in order to get a good straight hole. If I used a spade bit, it would probably wander. When the drill bit gets squeaky, I spray it with a dry lubricant, and I remove the drill bit frequently in order that I'm not clogging up the hole with sawdust. And I'm keeping an eye over here that I've got a very tight fit because I don't want any tilting there that would then really throw me off. I'm also, by eyeball, just sighting along the line of the drill bit into the rail of the board to give myself confidence that it's going in straight and not depending entirely on the hole being drilled straight. I start with the drill in reverse in order to go in as far as I can so that I'm following the existing hole rather than cutting a new one. And then I switch to forward. I'm going at a low speed and using a drill that is perhaps underpowered so that if something binds, I don't chew up a bunch of wood and spoil the work. So you can see there pretty quickly clogs up, and you don't want to have that all in there making a messy hole. Again, I switch to reverse to go in, then forward. So there I've gone as far as I can with that drill bit, and that's not quite far enough. Now I've removed all that stuff so that I can continue drilling the hole and go deeper. Only the hole that's been drilled is guiding me the rest of the way. If there's a concern that the drill bit is going off center and is about to poke through, you can test with a magnet and you should get about the same attraction on each side. And if it's feeling very strong on one side and not the other, then you're coming too close and you got to back up and do some correction. I still go in with the drill bit running in reverse, and when I get to the end I switch to forward. And now I can just confirm I got a suitable depth by holding the leg there, and you can see that the head of the bolt will be able to recess into the leg. And don't forget to mark your mating pieces so that you can match them up later. I've drilled with a flat bottom Forstner bit to remove the material here and make the hole for the bed bolt to go in. And then I want to chisel that out square so that this little cover can fit in there. And I could just do that freehand with a chisel. But since I have a bunch of them to do, I made this little fixture that I can clamp on the leg. And it's just 4 pieces of wood glued together, the right dimension to receive that. Then I can guide the chisel down. And that gives a nice square clean outline that I'll just have to clean up a little bit from here. When the bed is assembled, there'll be a bed bolt there locked in, and then the super magnet on the back of this secured with epoxy into that will lock down. Now I need to drill a hole on the inside of the rail to embed a nut which will receive the bed bolt. I've drawn a line at 90 degrees to the hole, but I think a magnet is a more predictable way of determining where the bolt is aligning. And in fact, I can see that it's maybe a 1/16 of an inch off of where I drew that line, probably because the bolt didn't go in exactly perpendicular. So I'm going to line up with the magnet to mark the spot where I'll drill the hole. Before cutting the hole for the nut, I've drilled a larger shallow hole that I can cover the nut with a plug. If I was using the big nut that came with the bed bolt, I could be a little sloppy with the pocket size, but since I've got this smaller nut, I want to be more precise because I don't want it to start spinning in the pocket when the bolt is tightened. And that's why, of course, you need a square nut instead of a hex nut, because a hex nut would almost surely spin. So what I'm doing is drilling with a 3/8 diameter drill bit, going down just enough till I see that I'm actually centered over the hole that comes in this way. And when I see that I am, I can go a little deeper. I've made this pocket a little too short for the nut, and I did that on purpose so that I could check the alignment of the bolt here and see which side I should chisel the remainder on to get the right width. And I don't know if you can see it, but I need to do more on this side. Okay, I got that lined up pretty good. And the nut fits in. It's just too high, so I gotta drill and chisel a little deeper. With the pocket just right, the bolt engages smoothly. And when I tighten up, the nut pulls in without spinning. A plug cutter is a fast way to make a disc to fit the hole. And this plug cutter is the exact same diameter as the hole that was drilled. I'm just putting a little bit of glue on here. It's not like a joint that is going to have a force on it. The plug is a tight fit, so I want to get it started in even, not crooked. And then I'll bring it all the way in with a clamp. So now's the time to make sure the bolt goes in smoothly, because if it didn't, then I could pry that up and fix it. So it feels good.